freedom, risk, challenge. These are some of the words that come up when you ask a surfer why they do what they do. They assert that riding a wave is a peak experience, that nothing compares to it. And the bigger the wave, the greater the freedom, the greater the risk, and the greater the challenge. Pro surfers travel around the world chasing the biggest waves, but the enterprise of sliding on a 10 feet high wall of water is not for everyone. It takes courage, skill, and a lot of training. Many years of practice are required until a person is physically and mentally prepared for the biggest waves. Let's get it straight from the start. Big wave surfing is only for the world's most talented surfers, those who spent maybe a decade climbing the ladder before taking on the 20-foot waves at places like Nazaré, Mavericks, and Waimea. Big wave surfing is for the athletes only. Why are big waves so difficult? Many reasons. First of all, the psychological pressure. Big waves are terrifying when you see them coming your way. They move at lightning speed. They go so fast that the attempt to climb one can seem impossible. Finally, the bigger the wave, the greater the risk of injury or drowning, or even dying. And yet there's a bunch of people that are up to the task. Risk-loving individuals who wait for weeks until the weather conditions unleash the fury of the sea and the waves rise like reefs into the air. How does a big wave form? When lightning strikes the ocean and storms are born hundreds of miles offshore, sending ferocious vibrations to the coast, most surfing spots become pure chaos and people stay out of the water. However, some special places on this planet seem to have conspired to create unique playgrounds for surfing. Places where the weather and the geography unleashes a huge yet harmonious water dance, giving way to the most impressive waves in the world. These sites can be counted with one hand. Puerto Escondido, Mexico, Waima Bay in Hawaii, Shipster's Bluff in Tasmania, Teahupo'o in Tahiti are pilgrimage destinations for surfers, where thousands of intrepid athletes try their luck with the waves and achieve impressive feats. Like the Brazilian Rodrigo Coxa, who managed to ride the biggest wave ever surfed in Nazaré, Portugal in 2017. The wave was 80 feet tall, the size of an 80-story building. Beyond big waves. Where can you ride a tsunami? If a surfer, fueled with adrenaline, excitement, and a hunger of challenge, decides to try his skill with a tsunami, the first thing he should do is move to the Ring of Fire, a geological active area of the Pacific Ocean where the underwater earthquakes are common. 80% of tsunamis take place in the Ring of Fire, mostly in the coastal areas of Indonesia, Chile, and especially Japan. Our hypothetical surfer should travel to one of those countries, settle in a town in the coastal area, and wait for the cataclysm. What is a tsunami? It is a series of huge waves that arise as a result of the upward movement of a large volume of water from the bottom to the surface of the sea. The causes behind these displacements are several: underwater volcanic eruption, underwater landslide, tectonic movement, etc. These waves begin as a almost imperceptible submarine phenomenon, but as it travels inland, it reaches greater and greater heights. In deep waters, the tsunami waves can travel as fast as a jet plane, although it slows down as it reaches the coast. Nicknamed the killer waves, they come one after the other to devastating effects. To make things worse, the successive waves are much stronger than the initial ones. They are unstoppable. It is not uncommon for them to reach speeds of up to 5,000 miles per hour. What is the difference between a normal wave and a tsunami? If a surfer wants to try out a tsunami, the first problem is it doesn't behave like the waves he knows. Wind waves have a short wavelengths, 20 to 100 feet wide, reaching the shore every few seconds. In contrast, tsunamis have wavelengths measured in miles, arriving hours apart, and are much faster. Also, the longer the waves, the greater the volume of water involved. As the wind waves enter the shallow waters, it narrows, crests, and tumbles down within the typical curly curve we've all seen in any given day in the beach. After breaking on the shore, the waves quickly recedes. But the energy of a tsunami is greater by several orders of magnitude. due to the enormous volume of water it carries. A tsunami does not reach the slopes necessary to break. Instead, it hurls inland with nothing to stop it. After all this explaining, I think it's time to tackle the key question of this video. Can you surf a tsunami? The short answer is no! 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 Why not? First of all, it has no face to slide on. It's basically a wall of white water. It does not accumulate in a breaking wave, and it cannot be circumvented as it can be 100 miles long. You cannot see its edges. This single giant wave stretches across the horizon as far as your eye can see, traveling at a speed of between 500 and 800 miles per hour, like a jet. You'd need a crew to help you, since the only way to get to the top at such speed is by speedboat or jet ski. And there is not even the remote possibility of keeping the balance on it. If you're a surfer, you know how little control you have if your board is in white water. Riding a massive whitewater wall is definitely out of the question. And don't forget that the water is full of stuff. Parking meters, bicycles, pieces of buildings, dead animals. That is not the place where you want to be caught paddling. And in the hypothetical case that a surfer tried it, what would happen? Let's exercise our imagination. A surfer happens to be on vacation in a tsunami zone, and the alarm sounds on the beach. Our hypothetical surfer is there with his board and sees the sea monster coming. There's no time to take refuge in a building's 4th floor or to flee to the mountains, so our unfortunate athlete thinks, since I'm going to die, at least I'll ride this thing. And he goes into the sea to wait for the tsunami. The first thing that would happen is that he would be thrown from his board like a projectile and hopelessly run over by the rough waters moving at jet speed. If he's lucky on the first wave and he doesn't get slammed against a wall or a tree, the water will drag him back and forth with tremendous force for hours until he's drowned or beaten to death by debris. Even if you are the best and the boldest surfer in the world, the only safe place to be during a tsunami is inland and on high ground. Consider yourself warned. And that's our list for today. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed and you find our videos useful. See you around!